Let's get salty!
Everyone, Zeddy here again today with yet another later video. Was it 3 days in a row? Well, we have the patch notes for 30.0.3, which has all the finalized changes for all the nerfs, the buffs that we went over the teasers for yesterday. They will be going live today. Should be around 10 a.m. Pacific, 1 p.m. Eastern. So stay tuned for that. I think it's more of a data one. You shouldn't have to have a major patch upload. And well, we have a lot of changes. Are they gonna piss me off? They're gonna make me happy. I feel like it's definitely a mix of the two looking at them. And as always, if you enjoy the content on the channel, feel like I've earned your subscription, please hit that sub button down below. Give the video a like as it helps us out a ton as we're on the road to 85,000 subscribers. So we start off with the Hearthstone update with the dev comment. Since the launch of Perils in Paradise, we've been happy to see a lot of evolving strategies. Funny they say that when like Evolve Shaman's turning into one of the best decks out there, but we think there's still room for more new and interesting cards to get a chance to shine. Our main goal with this patch is to add more competitive options from Perils in Paradise. We're doing that by curbing a few cards that are showing up too often and by buffing some new cards that have some room to improve. We'll see how the meta reacts to these changes and make further adjustments if needed in about 3 weeks. So if these don't work out great, the meta sucks, apparently we have to wait 3 more weeks. I rather a flexible schedule rather than like set in stone. We're gonna do this in 3 weeks. Set in stone, we're gonna do this in 2. How about if something really sucks, we can get in there and fix things. Thankfully, this launch patch hasn't been too bad outside of Zilliax spam, but I rather flexibility than the set times. But apparently that's what they got to deal with. And well, speaking of Zilliax spam, Hydration Station, as expected, will now read resurrect 3 of your different highest cost taunt minions. So you can only get 1 Unkiliax back, 1 Fi, 1 Ham, whatever that taunt is. You have to have 3 taunts die for this to bring 3 taunts back, which is a lot more in spirit with these style of decks and not just Zilliax spam, which I think a lot of people will welcome. I think that strategy absolutely can still be valid. You just have to build your deck slightly different around it and hopefully will be less frustrating a play pattern to face. And the same goes for Inventor Boom, now reading resurrect 2 different friendly mechs that cost 5 or more. So you can't just run Zilliax, you need other mechs in the pool, which, you know, we have that 4/8 taunt that deals like a bunch of damage. You never bother running, maybe you'll consider it now. Like there's other, you know, the one that shuffles in bombs or whatever, right? There's mechs you can consider playing other than just Zilliax on top of it. Of course, you still play Zilliax, still a broken card, probably, but at the end of the day, at least it's not bringing, like if it's brand boom, 4 different Zilliaxes, right? That can again be super frustrating. And we have the dev comment of Hydration Station and Inventor Boom are adjustments to reduce repetitive and meta warping gameplay around the virus perfect Zilliax combination, sometimes called Unkiliax. While this Kiliax is powerful on its own, it isn't proving to be a problem outside of decks that can repeatedly resurrect multiple copies of it. These changes will make that play pattern weaker and less repetitive. So I agree with the change. We'll see if virus is still an issue after this. I guess in 3 weeks, we can look at adjusting it, but I think that's probably the right call for now. But Zilliax, of course, still can't dodge the bullet because the ticking module actually gets a mana buff to 4, but now only includes friendly minions when playing it. So less punishing when your opponent, you know, if you're playing a bunch of stuff, you're not punished by your opponent for it. It makes it a worse defensive option with the perfect module, and it's still going to be very viable because like 4 minions on your own board, and this part of the module is 0. You know, the other part of the module you'll still have to factor in, whether it's pylon, whatever it is, but I think it'll still be competitive, but more on the aggressive, less than like the reactive healing side. And on the other end of the spectrum, the ticking pylon Zilliax combination has continued to be very popular in more aggressive board flooding decks. Perils in Paradise added some great board building cards, and now this Ziliax is a bit too much of a good thing. Change makes the card a little less powerful in those decks and also shifts the play pattern so that Ziliax no longer punishes other board-centric decks for fighting back on the board. And here's one I know a lot of you are wondering, what's happening to Lamplighter? Yeah, it's 4. It's just 4. You know, you can still Shadow Step, bounce it. It's slightly slowed down. Not going to change the way that deck feels at all. I guess with Shadow Step, it no longer goes to 1, which makes it significantly worse for Sonya. So there is that. There's a bit of that, but Scoundrel will make it 1. So you can, like, you know what I mean? It's almost like Shadow Step and Sonya keep getting cards nerfed or something, right? It's only been like 10 plus years of that. We're kind of used to it. Can we just have 1 year without Shadow Step? Just see what happens. Just see what happens. Anyways, a Lamplighter was made a bit too strong to intentionally give an infusion to elemental strategies that never landed in prior expansions. We love that it successfully brought multiple decks in this archetype to the meta, but it's turned out to be a little bit too strong. This adjustment should make it a little slower and clunkier to combine with other cards all the same turn. I wonder what other cards. Zero mana. Anyways, oh, can you believe it? Concierge is 4. They made Concierge 4. Can't put not less than 1. We're gonna slow it down a turn, right? Give me a break. I'm sorry, like, we're gonna nerf this again later, right? Like, it's gonna go to 4. It's still gonna do the exact same thing. Every druid that OTKs me almost always has mana left because they spend 0 on the stupid chalices. They've already ramped. They already have them. Sorry, this one bothers me. It doesn't get a stat increase at least, but still, like, it does not address the issue with the card at all. Hopefully, I'm really hopeful I'm wrong and I'm not just getting OTK'd by Druid every like 2 or 3 games, which is happening right now. And yeah, it's enough because there is one other change to Druid. Like we said, Chia Drake going back to its original state. It used to be a 2/4. Now it's a 2/4. To be fair, a lot of the times it was a 4/6 because like you play your 1-drop, it buffs it, or you play your draw spell, it buffs it. So it's a lot less stats on the board, but the effect's still strong. Still get the spell damage, still cycle through your cards, still can go Nest Matron into Chia Drake. Druid, I think, is still going to be very, very strong, and I would not be surprised if Concierge Druid is the best deck after these nerfs, based on that's the only stuff that they play that's getting nerfed. I think it looks pretty scary, but let's read the dev comment. Concierge Dragon Druid is a deck that can follow up early tempo plays with lots of burst damage from hand, sometimes a little too early in the game. The deck is very powerful, but we like that it's a new deck, and the metagame has been adapting to it instead of folding. These changes slow down the deck's early combo turns a little and weakens mid-game plays, but maintain the basic play pattern of the deck. If these changes aren't enough, we'll make further adjustments in our next balance window. Okay, at least they're already saying that. They're already singing themselves like, it might not be enough, let's try it, but if it's not, okay, we promise we'll fix it next patch. So at least we have that. At least we have their own word that we're not entirely sure, but if not less than 1 is needed, we'll add it next patch. So that I'm glad to see that, because yeah, again, I'm worried about it. And remember, it wasn't that long ago we had a patch all about agency. There's not much less agency in the game than your opponent ramping into Concierge into blowing up from full health and a full board, right? So we'll see how it plays out. I'm very sus on it. I would have played it safer. I would have made it not less than 1. But hey, I don't make these decisions despite what some people think out there. I mean, my God, you see these changes and think it's me? No. Anyways, on to the buffs. We have the Rycleaver going to 5 mana. Let's go to the dev comments first, though. We've noticed that some of the archetypes from Perils of Paradise didn't land where we wanted them to. We normally don't do buffs in the first patch after an expansion, but since we gave ourselves more time this patch, we have more confidence to take a few swings at underperforming cards and archetypes from Perils of Paradise. We hope these buffs will open up some new and exciting options for players. So the Rycleaver, 5 mana, we're going full Luna's Pocket Galaxy from 7 to 5. There is a big catch on this though. The sandwich goes from 2 to 4 mana. So you play Rycleaver on 5, and then on 6, you can't actually play all you can eat into the sandwich. unless you have a coin or, you know, trail mix the prior turn, you need that 7 mana. So it's not like a perfect on-curve scam thing. It'll be very interesting to see how this plays out. You can play it with like the 1 mana gift card, but the overall taunts on that are pretty bad, and we'll see. But yeah, 5 mana Rye Cleaver will be definitely one of the spicier buffs out there. Ranger Gilly goes to 5 mana. The Croc apparently doesn't get buffed. It's just 5 mana. It's just, I don't see this mattering a lot. Like, again, the Tourist isn't the part of what Hunter's struggling with. It's the warrior cards they're accessing, which one of them is the Rye Cleaver, and a lot of really bad cards, and that's it. But with, you know, Ziliax being toned down, maybe these mid-range Hunter decks can actually work, right? Because mid-range can't compete with Ziliax. It just cannot do it, so we'll have to hope. But yeah, if you're a Hunter main, I would have loved to have seen 1 more buff, or maybe 2. Ranger going to 5, it's a lot better, but I don't see it moving the needle all that much because they're not really that close. The Razzle Dazzler, I don't get this one. It's going to 6. This card's great. Like, I feel like it's not even that bad at 7. It's going to 6. This might be one they regret. We'll see. Maybe it's fine. It's just a good power play, but that is a lot of stats that you could get. Coin it on 5. You can like location and get this for 5 mana itself. It's pretty spooky to me. This at 6, it might just razzle dazzle on a lot of people. I think this is the craziest buff of them all so far. Natural Talent, instead of going to 2 mana, they're gonna make the random Naga and spell cost 2 less. So 3 mana minus 4 mana on 2 cards you may or may not want to play, but at that much mana, maybe it's just worth it, right? Might just be a free spell, a free Naga you can play. Might be all right. Probably not worth hard running still. Probably more of a creative buy option, but I mean, the card's bad, so you might as well buff it, right? And it's an epic, so there you go. Buttons, way better. 4 mana, 4/4. This is so much better and might very well be worth running. You can play this in even Death Knight if you want to go even Tourist Death Knight and Wild. Buttons this just seems way better. At 4, I think this card, I don't know, if Death Knight's not playing any of the Shaman stuff, maybe they want to, just because 4 mana Buttons, 4 mana draw a bunch of cards, more flexible with your cards, your spell stuff, plus Razzle Dazzler. I feel like Razzle Dazzler Death Knight becomes a deck now. I feel like that's very realistic now with Buttons into possibly coin Razzle Dazzler, right? That could be really, really strong. Cruise Captain Laura goes to 6. Sure, get some locations. Sure, it's got so much broken stuff. Do you think they care? Think they care about Laura? Probably not, but it goes to 6, and we'll see how that goes. Now, Tsunami makes a bit more sense. I'm like, how are they buffing this card without breaking it? I feel like they nerfed it. I'm not gonna lie. I feel like this is a nerf. Tsunami goes to 10 mana. 10 mana, but you get 1 more water elemental. I'd rather it at 8, honestly. Like, I guess it's kind of cool for your Orb now as a 10 mana spell that it can play, but who's playing Orb? Who can afford to play Orb? And you gotta play Tsunami, then Orb. I guess the idea is that you don't actually want to spend the 10 mana. You play one of the new cards, like either it's a 6 mana spell or that 5 mana beast. You could play those, and then it cheats out Tsunami, and then you get the 4 water elementals, right? I think that's their idea, because 2 mana increase is huge. Yes, I get 1 more water elemental, but that probably just feels worse to play. So it's kind of a weird one. It's almost a nerf as well as a buff. We'll see how it plays out, but and the art, there's 3 water elementals. It doesn't even make sense. The art doesn't even match. What are we doing here, Blizzard? Service Ace goes from a 3 mana 3/3 to a 2 mana 2/3, so a little bit easier to buff, get those discounts. Again, one of the worst performing cards out there. I really don't see this doing a lot, but hey, you can combo it a little bit easier and maybe discount a Sif and Mage or something. But again, probably not happening. Twilight Medium goes from a 6 mana 5/6 to a 5 mana 4/5. So yeah, you can curve your like Soothe. I can never remember the name. It's got Soothe in the name. It's got the Fortunes. You can curve that into this. But again, when you're setting it to 1, you can't play the Fortune. So you have to have like a coin, something like that. But again, it's mana cheat and a little bit earlier. This card hasn't really seen a ton of play. We'll see how that works. Nightshade T goes from 2 mana, deal 3, to 1 mana, deal 2 to a minion and your hero. So the self-damage stays the same. Damage is 1 less, but this is 1 mana, and you play with like a Rana that's like 3 mana, deal 6 to enemies, and there's some combos and stuff, and self-damaging is easier. Your Sauna, 5 mana, 5/5. This discounts that by 1, so it's almost like free mana if you're playing that card. So very significant buff. This one, very significant, and another drink that can go to 0 because of Concierge, because we didn't make it not less than 1. So we might have even more broken OTKs somehow with Concierge. Oh boy. Conniving Conman does get that suggestion, that change that I was kind of hoping for, where you will now replay the last card you have played from a non-rogue class. So if you're playing Paladin and you play a Paladin card, you can get another Amethyst, another big Paladin card. Does it make it worth playing? Probably not, but maybe there's just some broken combo you want to do with that. And we got a bunch of battleground changes and some bug changes. Are they changing weekly quests here at all, or is there a new board coming? But no. Apparently Demolition Renovator you could get from standard card grant rewards. I got it twice from Arena, so apparently we're supposed to get dust for that, so that's pretty cool. Crane Game no longer a shadow spell. It was accidentally given that for a little bit. They changed Language Hacker's deck to be proper capitalized. Good for Language Hacker. I know he's very upset, probably. I have no idea. And they fixed a bug where Carefree Cookie and Bathan Bodybuilder against each other will no longer cause an infinite loop and crash. I saw that in Arena. Somebody like just infinite loop with Cookie, and it's now capped at 15. So yeah, let me know what you guys think about the nerfs and buffs. I don't like the Concierge change at all. I don't. Lamplighter, I'm more on the fence about. And I am a little bit scared that neither like Hand Buff Paladin or Flood Paladin or Pain Warlock got nerfed, but the ticking module is a nerf, I think, to most of those decks. Maybe not Hand Buff. Hand Buff basically didn't get nerfed, so we'll see how that plays out. But yeah, look out for Paladin, Pain Warlock, and we got a whole new meta, a whole new, hopefully less Unkiliax meta. And well, we'll have a day 1 review for you guys tomorrow, so stay tuned for that. If you enjoyed the video, please like and subscribe. Have a great day and stay salty, my friends.